Hi, my topic for this week, and actually you're going to hear this probably for a few weeks off and on throughout the spring and probably into the summer. The topic is, do I really need to get pre-approved before I go looking at homes? Yes, you do. You do need to get pre-approved before you go look at homes. I have a story that I always share with buyers when we have our first initial buyer consultation, where I talk about someone who's a runner. They run every morning, they love to run. They've noticed that their running shoes are wearing out and they need to start thinking about getting new ones. So they're at the mall one day and decide, what's it going to hurt to look? I'm just going to go in and look, right? They don't really have a clear idea of how much cash they've got on them or what they've got in their budget to spend, but they're just going to look. Okay? So they take off looking, and boy, there's a clerk that is so helpful and so knowledgeable, and they show them these beautiful running shoes. They're going to do everything they ever dreamed of, and all for $225. So they really like these shoes. They decide, you know what, I better see where I'm at finance wise. So they check with their wallet, they're checking their budget, kind of figuring out what they have. And they have more like $75 or $80, maybe $90 if they get creative. So they're disappointed, they're disillusioned, they're a little irritated, and they shut down. So no activity happening in the prefrontal cortex. They're just all in that ancient brain and going, get me out of this store. So they go home without buying any shoes, and the next day they go running in their old worn out shoes, right? Which is dumb. Nobody really does that. We check ahead of time. We know we've got around $100, maybe a little less. That's where we look in the shoe store. Okay, we don't start at the $300, $400, $500 shoes. We look at the $100 shoes and less. Okay, and then we find shoes that we're happy with and that we can purchase and go running in the next day. So another way of thinking about it is, if you are ill or sick, you go directly to a medical professional. Generally, you don't fiddle around for too long because you want to be healthy, you want to feel good, you need to be able to use your body to do what you need to do. So you go to the doctor. If your car breaks down, unless you are an actual talented mechanic, you probably take it to a garage where the mechanic can work on it and has the parts and do what they need to do to get you back on the road so you can live your life. Okay? However, people really do this. When we decide we're considering buying a house, we take a very convoluted route. We look at Zillow, we look at Realtor, we look at Redfin. We talk to our friend's uncle who bought a house in 2010. We have that great Instagram friend who really seems to know what's going on with the real estate market in Florida. It's fascinating. And then when we think we found a house we really like, we might reach out to a realtor, and we're not sure about a lender because we're just looking, right? Same principle. You can skip all the squigglies and start with a local lender or a local realtor so that you actually know what you're shopping for. Okay, we know that. I've referred to myself as a project manager. The role I play in a transaction, of course, I'm the realtor, I'm the agent, the buyer's agent in this case, but it's like being a project manager because I'm coordinating all the moving parts. I'm communicating with those lenders. I'm communicating with the escrow officer, with the title company. I'm coordinating with inspectors and appraisers once we get you into contract. When we're looking at homes, I'm communicating with those listing agents, asking those pertinent questions that I know to ask. Once we get you in contract, I continue to communicate with that listing agent that's representing the sellers so that we have a smooth negotiation and we move through with ease, as much ease and joy as is possible. So I'm a resource for you, and I'm really your primary point of contact, okay, which simplifies things for you. Okay. I am a skilled communicator. I listen well. I do touch base with all those various people and keep all of the plates spinning. But really, I'm your first point of contact and your primary point of contact. If you haven't met with a local lender, I can offer some suggestions for some local lenders that I have strong relationships with, that I've done transactions with, that have represented buyers very responsibly and beautifully. There's never an obligation. It's just a starting point so that you start gathering information. I have seen, sadly, the effects of buyers not taking my suggestion of meeting with a lender right away. My personal rule is I will give you one free day of showings if you're not pre-approved, but that's all, because we're just shopping for shoes and we don't know how much money's in our wallet. So it's just setting you up for trouble, for disappointment. So if someone does not, what happens, I just had this happen with folks that didn't reach out. They thought they had some ideas. They didn't share a lot of details with me. And they didn't reach out to a lender until I said, we can't go any further until we know what you can spend, what your budget is, what your price point really is. It needs to be something you're comfortable with and that you qualify for. So they finally did when I said, we aren't going to go looking around anymore. And they were so disappointed and disillusioned and frustrated and complete overwhelm and shut down. Okay, no activity in that prefrontal cortex, all, fight or flight kind of reactions, and they just shut down. Now, we will reach back out. We will get communication going. There are always options. I never say never. There's always another way to approach issues. I'm happy to share these resources with you at any point, because the more informed we are as a market, the better off we all are. Just don't make the mistake of wandering into that shoe store or new home development with no idea of your budget and then leaving frustrated because you got to go running in your old worn out shoes again. Reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. On Instagram, I'm pamela.realtor.nv, as in Nevada. Or reach out to me here. Contact me however is best for you. Of course, I'm Pamela Moore at Chase International if you want to email me. And thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to your questions.